We are live in the AJ Dome. We are here with a very special guest for the godfather of good sports, the one, the only, AJ Bokine.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Jack? How we doing?
I'm doing
So,
well. Your halo's blinding me, dude.
I know. So today we have a very special guest, UW Green Bay assistant Jordan McCabe. Jordan, how's it going?
It's going great, AJ. AJ Jack, thanks for having me on today. I'm excited.
You bet.
We are too.
We're,
We are too. We are too.
we
So
are.
for those who don't know, Jordan is an assistant at Green Bay. Played at Kekana. Played at what? Do I have that right? Jordan, West Virginia.
West
Where you?
Virginia first, yeah.
Where'd you? Where you? Did you go to two schools or just? Or was it just West
Yeah,
Virginia?
I went to two, AJ. I played 3 years with Bob Huggins at West Virginia, and then I transferred out and I went to UNLV for my final 2 years of eligibility.
Awesome. So, so, Jordan, let's get right into it. You had obviously everybody knows struggled this year, but you obviously comes in with the building a new program. But you're not new to the program. You were there with Sundance, correct?
Yeah, so I'm a little less new than the rest of our staff, but not by much, only by a few weeks. So I started my coaching career at West Virginia in the 23-24 season as an assistant there, and then I took a job with Coach Wicks here at Green Bay a few weeks before he took Wyoming. So we were settled here. My family's here. My soon-to-be wife, fiance, we're all settled in a house, and uh, Coach Wicks got a job opportunity of a lifetime to go to Wyoming, and he took that job. And we had to have some conversations as a family, and decided we were going to stay and see who the next head coach would be, and hopefully stick on. And that's what happened with Coach Gottlieb.
Awesome. So, um, obviously, when you're building a program like this, you said it's portal season, right? So, you got obviously what's the incoming class like? Any, anything you share with us?
Anything I'm allowed to share, we'll see. I'll share what I can, and then I'll hope I don't get called by the boss if I share anything I shouldn't. But right now it's really early, and
Hmm.
at our level, at the Horizon League level, you do have to approach the portal a little bit differently than other schools. If you were
Hmm.
say in a Big Ten or a Big 12 or Big East, any Power Five conference, right?
Hmm.
There's a pecking order, and it's established really early on. I always kind of laugh with people. The guys in the portal, they'll pick up just about any call the first day that they're in, and then as the days go on, and other schools contact them, those answers get less and less at times. Now, if they don't, the kid's in on you and you're in on him. You're in a good spot. So, in terms of what we're looking to bring in, we do have one commitment right now. Based on when we're recording this, I can't divulge that information just yet in
Yeah.
terms of who it is.
No, I got you.
So he's a really talented player. We had him in on a visit, and we think he's going to be a really good piece for us going into next year. So one domino has fallen, and typically that first one's the hardest one to get
Yeah.
because guys like to take their time. AJ, they like to take their time.
Right. So let me ask you this: you started. Wicks was there. Gottlieb came in.
Yeah.
What what's it like going from thinking you're working for one guy and what obviously we all know Doug's got the radio show and everything, but what's it like working like basically starting from scratch just, just in 1 year.
Yeah, it's a great question. It is. I have been, I like to say, baptized into coaching.
Right.
You jump right into the fire of it. And when I first got hired, it was by Bob Huggins, who I played for,
Yeah.
and that was a verbal hire at the time. They didn't renew contracts until June 1st. So I packed up my things in Vegas. I moved out there, and Coach Huggins stepped down at West Virginia only a few weeks after I arrived. I had nothing on paper. The only thing I had on paper was a house that my fiance and I had purchased. So we had roots
Right.
there in West Virginia, but no jobs. So that wasn't great. It was a little unsettling for a few weeks. But Josh Eilert gave me my first shot as a coach. Josh was a Dobo for Coach Huggins for I believe 15 years, and then he spent two as Coach Huggins' assistant coach, and then he was the interim head coach at West Virginia for a season. And
Oh,
actually,
awesome.
this past season was the interim head coach at Utah after he got hired there. Anyways, long story short, at West Virginia, Josh Eilert gave me my first opportunity, and I'm forever grateful and indebted to him. And I'm happy to be indebted to a person like that. Some people in your life you don't want to be indebted to. This guy is one of the best human beings you'll ever meet. So I'm grateful to be in that position. But we got let go after 10 months as an interim staff, young staff. And to answer your question, AJ, taking the job with Sonny was something that felt a little bit more stable than obviously being out on the open market as a coach and not knowing where
Right.
you're going to land. Sonny had it rolling, 18 wins. They were already building the team for what would have been last year here at Green Bay, and it was being built in a great direction. His staff was phenomenal. Coach Malvick, Coach Monahan, Coach Reynolds were unbelievable in terms of what they already had built here in Green Bay. And then they got an opportunity, and I was once again kind of in the gray area of, am I going to go to Wyoming? Am I staying here? And it's not all cut and dry. When Coach Wicks takes the job in Wyoming, there was definitely a thought in my head of, are we moving out west? But that didn't work out just based on staff who was already set there in Wyoming. And then you sit here and we don't have a head coach. I'm a brand new assistant. I've never really met any of the guys that were still on the roster, the Preston Rudiners, Marcus Halls, Mac Reckies, and the rest of the guys that were still retained
Yeah.
at the time. So I had to try to develop a relationship. That was all I could do with the guys we currently had, and just hold down the ship, steer it straight until we got a head coach and we got Coach Gottlieb, and he did a great job of retention of guys that we wanted to keep. And shoot, there's still guys we have going into next year, even after a tough year. So
Aw-
it's
Awesome.
tough.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now talk about. Let's go back a little bit. You're a Kakani guy, but talk a little bit about for the growing up. You know, you were highly thought of growing up. Um, what was that like? With you did because you did a bunch of dribbling exhibitions, right?
Yeah.
When you were going, what was that? What was that like? And to you, what's the importance of being at home per se? You're a Kakani guy, being in Green Bay. What's the importance of being at home to you?
Yeah. Well, first, I mean, what was it like growing up? I probably cared a little bit too much about the attention I thought I had.
Right,
And in a few short years, now I realize how insignificant and stupid that is to even concern yourself with it.
right,
But all that being said, the support that I had in Kakana, the support I had in the state of Wisconsin was amazing. So I'm not shortchanging that by any means. I just have a little bit different perspective on that kind of thing at my current position and age. And then being back home means everything to me. I got my parents live down the street. They're actually in Wrightstown now. So their retirement plan, they're not retiring. They're only like 45, but they moved from Kakana out to the golf course in Wrightstown. So
of
uh,
course they did. Of
I
course they
tell
did.
my dad he's got the leisurely life in Wrightstown. So I got them there. My sister's a nurse in Madison, and my entire extended family is here. So being close to them means the world, especially in coaching. When we just talked about how hectic it can get and how quickly it can get hectic that way. So it's been great and means a lot to me.
Awesome, awesome. So let so talk, talk about you got we got we got a lot of common connections. Talk about a little bit about for those who don't know how we met. Obviously, we met at the clinic at the WBCA clinic, but we've stayed in contact ever since. And talk a little about our relationship and how we met for those who don't know.
Yeah, so we got to meet each other. I was lucky enough to go down to the WBCA coaches convention last year in the Dells, and I had heard AJ's name before, and I'd seen his stuff out there, but I'd never got a chance to meet him, and I was super excited when I did, and I got to hear him speak at the coaches clinic. Which, no disrespect to Greg Campy, but I was a few minutes late to a in conference rival or in conference team rather.
Yeah,
As
right.
Coach
Yeah,
talking on the main floor, I was listening to AJ in the back gym, and I'm happy I did. I still caught most of Coach Campy's speech, but we got a chance to meet down there. AJ sent me a copy of his book, and I got a bracelet that says "Finish" that I wear all the way through the season. And when we go through a tough year like we did last year, I'd catch myself looking at that thing in January and February. That thing meaning the bracelet that says "Finish," and it was a huge motivating factor for me. So
yes, sir.
I'm a big fan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's got
Um,
you snowed, Jordan.
yeah.
He
Now,
is something else.
no, but
Yes.
let's. Um, Another question for you, Jordan. How do you? What is what is your hopes? Obviously, going going from 18, being a being, being a new coach. What are your hopes for Nate? How do you? Obviously, you have big goals, but how do you build a program so it's sustained?
Yeah,
Oh,
sustainability is a really important factor that's a little bit looked over in the current climate of college basketball because your roster turnover is constant, right? You see all these
right,
teams, they flip over, 10 to 13 spots every year.
right.
And personally, not something I'm interested in as a coach. When I am recruiting guys, and whether this is right or wrong, I don't know. I don't really know much of anything, to be honest with you, but I do know that we got guys that I just played pickup with that are working out and working their butts off here in the spring, that are returning to Green Bay, and are all in on us. So the more guys that align with the people that have bought in and stayed and stuck with us through a tough year, whatever character traits they possess, and we know what they are, um, that's what I'm looking for in the portal. That's what I'm looking for in high school because we're not doing the oh we don't take young kids. That's not something we're concerned with here at Green Bay. Better is better. Older doesn't automatically mean better. So we're all in on development. Coach Gottlieb's done a great job in terms of putting an emphasis on it. And that's what I think it means to build a sustainable program in college basketball in 2025 is where is your foundation? How many guys can you retain? Your retention is as important as any lands or targets you have in the portal. Because
Mm-hmm.
without that retention, there's no continuity, and you start from scratch every year, and that's where you get inconsistencies. We don't want to be that. We didn't blowtorch this thing in terms of our roster after a 4-win season because we think that it sends the wrong message. It's not the players. It's not just the players. It's not just the coaches. It's us as a unit. And any of the scrutiny that we took on together. So we're not going to send people on their way and say you're not good enough to play here. We need better players and all that. We're going to build our foundation and care about the guys we have that are in our program right now that are already phoenixes, right? Not just concerned with who we can get in next year on a 1-year rental. We're going to do our job in the portal, but we're also going to do our job here in Green Bay with the people we do have.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's so important, I believe, to establish relationship with coaches, right?
Right.
In the area because you never know who's going to come knocking at your door. Um,
Never know.
you never know. Um, talk a little bit about, uh, obviously, talk, talk a little bit about what your relationship with what Doug is like on a day to day. You know, just being for those who haven't been as young as you and him, haven't been a D1 assistant. Talk about what what your role is and then how it branches off to him and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, first and foremost, Coach Gottlieb is a very unique head coach, and
Yes,
everybody knows, like you stated prior, that he's got a nationally syndicated radio show. He is dove in on the media side of things um, up until this point in his life, and he's succeeded at a very high level. So the biggest thing about Coach Gottlieb is he's a winner. He's always been that. He won at Oklahoma State.
yes, sir.
He played professionally. He won on a personal level. He got to the professional level as a basketball player that not many people get to, and then he jumped into media and he became a success in that as well over a long period of time.
Mhm.
So when you look at that, all you see is somebody who has developed the habits and understands what it means to be successful over a long period of time. And as unique as it is and easy as it is in year one, where he takes over late and we don't win a lot of games, it's easy to scrutinize him right now. Understood. But
Uh-huh.
when you look at anything that he's done for a long period of time, right, and he plans on doing this coaching thing for a long period of time, he's been successful. So
Yep.
he's not back down. Probably one of the coolest things of last season was handled the outside scrutiny at times in the media. You'll see a lot of coaches jump up on the post game presser and say, you know, our guys aren't tough enough. They got to do this better, and they got to do this better. And very rarely is there any kind of self reflection. Coach Gottlieb takes it all head on. Any kind of, negative comment or question towards our team, he always deflected it towards himself, right? Or absorbed it, whatever
Right,
word you want to
right,
use.
right, right. That's bit, and I'm sure that preaches to the sustainability that you talked about. How, having a guy like that who takes it all on himself is awesome.
Right.
Um, what do you asked me one of the toughest questions I've ever been asked. I've been pretty
Whoa.
good on. I don't know. I don't know if you remember what you asked me. But what what are your goals? What are your goals as a coach? You asked me what my goals are. What are your goals? You're young. What are your goals? I mean, obviously, you stay in Green Bay for as long as you can. But what what do you hope to what do you hope to get out of your Green Bay experience?
That's a great question, and it is a loaded one. So I'm sorry for throwing that on you. That's a big question to kind of
No, no.
digest.
Carter and I still laugh about the state championship I mentioned on the air the
Yep,
other day.
absolutely. I think goals are important. Um, I think your daily process is more important than your long term goals. I think a lot of people have dreams and goals that they talk about, but they don't dig in enough on those goals and ask themselves, well, then what does that look like on a daily basis? Because anybody can paint the picture of 5 years from now, I'd like to be a head coach, right? Or 10
Uh,
years from now, I'd like to be, a national champion, whatever it may be. But what does that look like on a daily basis is probably more important.
yeah,
And in terms of what my goals are, my personal goals, I'd like to be a head coach. I don't know when that moment's going to happen, but I want to be as prepared as possible for it. And I've never shied away from that, even as a young, 2 year assistant at this point in my career. I want to be a
yeah,
head coach. More importantly, I want to be a successful head coach. I got a chance to go watch Marquette practice before they left for the Big East tournament this season. And I got a few minutes to talk to Coach Smart, which is probably more than I deserve, but he's a great human.
yes,
He
he
was
is.
able to give me that time, and he asked me the same question you just asked me, AJ. So you and Coach Smart got something in common. He said, "What were your goals?" I said, "I want to be a head coach." I answered it just how I did, and he said, "Okay, well, I challenge you to add one word into that and say you want to be a successful head coach because there's a lot of head coaches."
Right,
And
right,
then, what does that mean? What is it being a successful head coach? Is that win a national title? Sure. From a wins and losses perspective, yeah, I want to win. But I also want to develop a program that when our guys come in, first and foremost, just like Marquette, it's a place where they want to stay in the world of jumping school to school, year to year. I want to build a program that has a foundation, a culture, and non negotiables that not only do the players want to be here, but their family members when they send their kid here as a college freshman or a transfer, whatever it may be, they see whatever program that I'm at as some place where they're going to develop as a player. Yes, duh. Everybody talks about player development,
Mhm.
but within that, they develop as a human being, right? I want people who are high achievers that want to be surrounded by high achievers because I think that's the only way you really reach growth is surrounding yourself with the right people that are
Right,
doing the right things.
right, right. Along those lines, talk about like the development, like what you see as like the importance of developing. We we're coaches, right? So we see the importance of developing the young man off the floor as much as on the floor. But talk about how important that is when you look when you when you are a coach. How
Yeah.
important it is to develop your players not only as players but just as human being, good human beings as well.
Yeah, you want to develop the person as much as you want to develop the player, right?
Right,
And I think that's so important, and I think it's something that I'm pretty keen on just because of how close I am at this current moment to having been a player, having
right,
been a student athlete, where there is a huge point of transition in your life when you go in to play college basketball or any college sport or just go to college in general. That moment of life where you're out on your own seems to be really close. And sometimes there's an identity crisis with players when they don't know, they haven't thought about what they want to do. They haven't mapped out whatever it may be 5 or 10 year goals. And they've always seen themselves as a basketball player or an athlete, right?
yep, yep,
But it's so much bigger and more important than that in terms of how you treat people. There's a guy that I try my best to emulate. You talk about surrounding yourself with the right people. Mike Klein is the cross country coach here at Green Bay, and he's
yes
one of
sir,
the best human beings that I've ever met and been around in my entire life. And the only thing he does that I think stands out is he really values people. So he'll never walk by somebody in our hallways without saying good morning, good afternoon, how's your day? It's not just a courtesy thing, surface level. He actually wants to know how you're doing.
yeah,
And he'll
right,
remember after one conversation, he'll remember, your mom and dad's name, your brothers and sisters' name. Shoot, he told me about a coach who was here, I don't know, 5 years ago, and he still remembered that guy's dog's name, and he still reaches out to him once a week to make
that's
sure
awesome,
him and his wife are doing well.
that's
So
great,
I think in terms of who I'm trying to emulate with our program is whatever Mike Klein does, we do, right? And
awesome,
we'll be okay as people. That's what I believe. And I've been blessed to be around a lot of great people, not just Coach Klein, but he's one of them for sure.
that's
And then on the flip side, on the court, it's funny you asked. So up there on the board on the top corner there, at some point during the year, it was, I think last summer, I asked myself, okay, I'm an assistant coach and a big part of my role is player development. What does that mean? It can't just be a title. It can't mean that I'm only in there, on a schedule that gets guys shots up. That's part of it, right? But digging deeper into it, I wanted to I wanted to find a definition for what I think player development is.
yeah,
And this is just basketball. But I think number one and the most important thing is sweat equity, meaning the time you spend on the floor,
yep,
right? A lot of guys, once again, their goals may be to be the conference player of the year, first team all Horizon League. That's awesome. Okay. Well, sweat equity means how many times you're in the gym, what's your schedule look like? You got to have a routine, right?
right,
Number two on that board is role clarity. Understanding your role is extremely important on any team and in any
mhm,
organization or business. And I think you got to hit people right between the eyes because everybody has maybe a more grandiose idea of who they are as a player. But
right,
if you got a guy who, he's a stretch four, come off the bench, he's going to play, we're thinking somewhere in that 10 to 20-minute range per game, and he's got to be able to catch and shoot it and defend on the perimeter on a switch. Well, then that's what we're going to work on. We're going to be very clear on who he is as a player and get really good within that role. So that's number two. Number three is then goal setting. Okay. And then goal setting, where does that stretch four who's playing 10 to 20 want to be? Okay. You want to be a first team all conference guy. That's great. That's great. What do we have to do to get there? And
Right.
then once we label out what that routine looks like for them, we have to understand it's about process over result. So the process is way more important than you having one good day in practice and then deciding, okay, now I don't need to come in at 7 a.m. and get shots up before my day starts.
Right. Right.
No, no, no. Good days, bad days, 20 minutes, 0 minutes in a game doesn't matter. That's the result, right? The process is who we are every single day. So that's the third. And then the final thing is role expansion. And I put it last because I do think it's the last and least important, but it's something everybody wants. Every player wants a bigger role.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So understanding how to slowly expand that role and not assume that we're going to do this work every morning and we're going to shoot after practice and you're going to watch film and then overnight you're going to be a first team Horizon first team all conference kid. It's not how it works, right? So understanding that is really important, and that's just how I broke it down.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great. What do you think of? I'll wrap it with this. So, obviously, you have a busy summer coming up, on and off the floor. But what are if you could map out for us the 2025-26 season? Where do you see yourself and more importantly the team? Not maybe not more importantly, but where do you see what's growth to Jordan McCabe in 2025-26?
First, I think you were right in the first one, AJ. It is more important in terms of what's the growth for our team look like,
Yes,
and
sir.
the growth for our team has to be building a foundation of culture, how we practice every single day. Um, Sometimes the corny stuff, right? These
Yes,
are
sir.
still these are still college age boys. So for whatever reason, the yelling, the screaming, the slapping the butts, all that stuff, to them it just seems like it's fluff and it's corny and maybe they feel uncomfortable doing that. It can't be for us. It has to be who we are as a program. And I think growth for us is having a different level of competition every single day in practice, having a different mindset and mentality. And I can't give you a number of wins that we're shooting for. We'd like to
Obviously.
win every game we play. That's
Yep.
that's the goal. But
Yep.
once again, result and what does the process look like? The process looks like a really high tempo, a really high enthusiastic and competitive practice. That
Yes, sir.
probably that probably butts up to guys, getting into not physical altercations in an unsafe way,
Yeah.
but we
Right.
have
Right.
that level of fight in us, right? And that level of passion. And I use the word conviction a lot. Do everything in the game of basketball and in life with conviction. If you're going to do it, go all the way in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we need to be. Our growth definitely needs to be on the defensive end. We need to defend and rebound at a higher level. Our offense is going to get better and more potent, right? And we're going to take all those steps in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But how we do anything is how we do everything. So whether it's a one-on-one drill or a ball handling drill in practice, the enthusiasm level has to be higher, and we just have to win in those margins the best we can, and then the wins should follow. The results of winning will follow. We got to believe in that.
That's awesome. That's great. So it sounds like, just to wrap it up, sounds like coaching is, you and I both know, coaching is a process driven
Yeah,
business. It's not.
very much.
It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not end result driven business. End results just get you paid, right? So,
That's it. That's it. And nobody, and truthfully, we think people care. People don't really care about the end result. They don't care how many wins you get. Like they forget about it a day later. All of our time here on earth is short. So it doesn't really
sir.
matter
Yes, sir.
about how many wins you go into the ground with. It matters how you treat people. If
Yes,
you
sir.
can emulate like a Mike Klein or a Coach Shallow, who I had, can you impact people in a positive way? And that's where we'll be. And if winning comes along with it, which I think it will, so be it. But it doesn't matter.
Awesome. Awesome.
Doesn't matter.
Well, we appreciate it, Jordan, and obviously stay in touch and good luck with the summer. Right? I know you got a big wedding coming up.
Big wedding coming up, AJ. Big wedding. I got
What?
dance lessons tonight.
What's the date on that?
May 31st. We're getting married, getting
At
hit.
the Ossoff, right?
Yeah, we're getting married in Sheboygan at the American Club there.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome, awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Well, we'll catch up this summer, and thanks for spending some time with us, and thanks for popping in. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I look forward to seeing this.
Awesome.
All right, you guys. Thanks very much. You survived a half hour with AJ. Jordan. Very impressive. Very
Jordan,
impressive.
I promise
That's a process into itself.
There's no violations coming your way either, bud.
No, none of that. None of that. We know that. I trust you, man. I'm excited to listen to this back and dig in. How many of you recorded, AJ?
Different coaches. You will be the first of the year.
Awesome. That's exciting.
We got Kreider coming up. We got Macavzak from Northern Michigan coming up. We just got to get his date down. We appreciate you spending some time with us. It was great. So thanks, bud.
Anytime, man. Anytime. You guys just let me know. Thank you.
All right. See you, man. Thanks much.
Thank you.